Hi guys, Anne Marie here, and today we are starting to tackle that big pile of cardstock that I got from my stamp reorganization project a few weeks ago. As you can see, our elf Clementine has even been helping. Uh, First, I went through and I just pulled out several sheets that I just liked the look of. I thought they filled the space nicely. I did make sure to grab one or two Christmas themed ones, as these are going to be gift tags that I'm making for my first project. So now I'm separating out my tags just to kind of see what I have. The orientation of the tags on the die is that two of them are horizontal and one's vertical. So that's going to result in the sentiments and the little stamped backgrounds kind of going in different directions. That doesn't really bother me. But if there's a really obvious theme, like the Christmas ones, I think I kept those together, that kind of thing. But I'm mainly just kind of grouping them based on what I think looks well. Like if one's more of an open, empty white space design, then I'm probably going to put it with other tags that are similar with open, empty white space. And if something's really covered up with a lot of text and graphics, then I'm going to pair that with similar tags. All right, so I took all of my tags, I put them into groups of 5. I just made sure to have at least one of each size because I do like having the 3 different sizes in a set. But then it just kind of depended. Some of them would have 2 big ones, 2 medium, or 2 little ones. And there would be like one that was just by itself. And I'm just going to do a very basic ink blended background for this first round. I'm using scattered straw, and I'm just placing it in a couple different spots on the tags. And I'm going to go in with the marmalade one and, oh, the apple one, candy apple. I'm going to go in with those to um, just round them out with some warm colors. That's what I was kind of feeling this day. So I'm just using my ink blending brushes and I'm putting little spots of color, and then I'm rubbing another spot of color into whatever it's neighboring. And if I had to do this again, I don't know if I feel like I would go back and use more yellow. I would possibly cover the entire tag in yellow and only leave like just a couple spots without it. I felt like when this ends, you'll kind of see it. It feels to me like it's just orange and red. I don't know if I just blended the orange out so much that it covered up all of the yellow, but it didn't quite give me the more gradient effect that I was kind of going for. I still liked them. I still think they're pretty, but it didn't feel like 3 separate colors to me. It really only felt like 2 colors. And maybe I'm thinking yellow and or red. I don't know, but you'll see when we get there. For some of the very dark colors, like right here, I'm starting by pushing off a lot of my ink directly onto my mat because I feel like it's just too bright and a little too much when I go directly to the tag. So I put all this ink on the background and I'm going to go back and pick that up and still use it. So it'll still be utilized. But yet, no, I was right. Orange and red. That's what it reads to me when this is all done. I don't feel like I'm seeing any yellow anymore. So I'm not sure if I just had too heavy a hand with the orange, but that gradient look of the red and the yellow, I think it just makes it all look orange. I'm not sure. Again, I still think they're pretty. It just wasn't quite the look I was imagining in my head. And for a couple of them, I even tried to go a little heavier with the red to see if I would get more differentiation. But then I felt like the lighter spots just looked white and like I'd forgotten to ink there. I don't know. Again, they're fine, they're pretty. It just wasn't what I thought it was going to be. So a very, very basic ink blending, fun little technique for adding some texture is to spritz something with water. So you can use like an actual spritz bottle, or you can just use your fingertips like I did there. You could use a brush, anything. And then I'm also just, yeah, wantonly wiping it around on the background. So that's having a couple different effects there because I'm picking up ink from the background too. Then I'm going to go in at the very end and ink with black around the edges because I've got black for the background, I felt like this just kind of tied it all together, and I'm going to include black fiber as well. So I just wanted that extra little bold touch. All right, so I pulled out some different fibers that I thought I might use for the top of the tag. I was wanting to emulate an idea that I had seen um, by a scrapbooker I follow on Instagram. I'll put her handle in the description box below. I'm not perfectly sure how to pronounce her name, so I don't want to say it, but it's in the description box. Um, and I'm just gonna, make sure my fibers are all straight and pretty and ironed. And then you loop the fibers through, and then you tie the fibers um, kind of at the base, or where they meet the tag. And it's just another way, it's a new way to me that I hadn't seen trims secured before. And it was kind of nice because then you don't have to worry about knotting a bunch of bulky trims. So that's what I really liked about it. I like how they turned out. I think it's a cute little rustic, kind of shabby chic feel to them. All right, so on to the second set of tags. For these, I knew I wanted to do a gradient again, but from deep to light. And I was going for kind of an indigo feel. So I started with a little bit of the dusty Concord, but I also used some chipped sapphire along the bottom to really deepen it. And I know I say this all the time, but if I had to do it again, I would make sure that that dusty Concord went all the way down to the bottom of the tags. I kind of felt like there was, I don't know, the chip sapphire is just so deep. I thought that it would be kind of fine on its own, but I wish now that it had a little bit more purple to it. I basically did a dark swath of dusty Concord down the middle of the tag, and then I always blended up so that it would get lighter as it went. And then I went back and I added in the chipped sapphire. Now I know some people have different sizes of the brushes, different size heads on them. I only have the one size. So when I got to the little tags, I just made sure to really only use the tip of the brush to take up a little less space with the colors as I went. So now I'm just giving that little finishing touch on the edges with some black soot, and then it's on to the fiber. So I decided I wanted something a little simpler this time. I had pulled out a few different options, but in the end, I just decided I want to use this white ribbon, white grosgrain ribbon that I have with these lavender dots on it. I have so much of it. Seriously, so much. But as is, it's a little bright. I didn't have any, pure white on my tags. And I guess I could have added like a label or cut out or something on the front that was in white, and that would have tied it together. But I wanted to bring that deep blue color in too. So I just decided to start inking it up and seeing what happened. So for the most part, I think it worked pretty well. I think there's obviously some polyester in the ribbon, and I think that always repels the ink somewhat. It's not nearly the same as if you had a full cotton ribbon. But what I noticed as I did this was that the lavender dots really resisted the ink. And so it was really giving a neat effect, and I actually really liked it. So I just kept going to town with the ink until I felt like they were pretty blended. Then I went and I got a rag, got it wet, squeezed it out, and I'm just going back over the ribbon and getting the ink wet. I'm doing that so it blends more, and I felt like it was helping it sink into the ribbon a little bit more too. So after I went through and kind of squeezed very lightly to squeeze, make it damp. Then I would ink it some more, and then I would dampen it some more. And I just kind of kept going back and forth doing that with the different colors, and even a little bit of black there to kind of dirty it up a little bit. And then I set it by running it through my flat iron, and it turned out gorgeous. I had some other fibers picked out, and in the end I really felt I didn't need it. I felt like this ribbon excuse me, was just beautiful, and it's huge, and it would be like a statement piece on the top of the tag, I felt like. So that's what I did, and I only did a big simple knot at the top. I squeezed in a little bit of Tombow mono adhesive into the like center of the knot just to secure it a little bit more. And then I trimmed them down, and I just kind of had them, they're like droopy bunny ears. That's just kind of how the first knot fell, and that's how I really liked it. So that's what I stuck with. And I just think these are so cute. All right, guys, last set. So this one, I knew I wanted it to be the Christmas ones. And there's been a layered stenciling technique that I wanted to try that I saw on Split Coast Stampers. So I looked and I looked and I looked and I looked in my space for this, the Christmas tree stencil that I got from Scrapbook Generation in the swag bag from We Create. Could not find it. I was so frustrated. So what I ended up doing was I took some of the old transparency material that I'd been using to store my stamps on, that I'm having to dispose of, and I cut 3 triangles into it, a little one, a medium one, and a big one. And I'm going to use them as my Christmas tree stencil since I couldn't find my actual Christmas tree stencil, which is so frustrating and embarrassing. So if you're going to try this idea, what you should do better than I did, make sure that you cut the notches far enough apart that they don't overlap when you're doing the ink blending, so that you're not ink blending a medium-sized tree, but accidentally also inking the littlest tree too. Anyway, I used the tiny notch on the tiny tags, the medium notch for the medium tags, and then the biggest triangle for the biggest size tag. And I'm starting at the top, so I get my brush, mostly just the tip of my brush, covered in ink, and then I start at the top of the tree and I'm blending down so that it's lighter, maybe completely faded away by the bottom, so that especially when you're layering, like right there, you're not covering over the tip of another tree, at least not with really dark, direct ink. If I had to go back through, I'd do the little trick of rubbing some of the ink off onto the splat mat if I needed to. And my phone kept cutting out because it was getting pretty full. Sorry about that. Then after I got the trees layered and inked on, I went back with the chip sapphire and I went around the edges, and then I blended into the center. And what I really wanted was to kind of have this like white glow in the center of my tags. Just thinking, if it's kind of gives the effect of a snowstorm or a foggy nighttime vista. I don't know, something like that was what was in my head. Um, I kind of wish that I would have went with maybe broken china here instead of the chipped sapphire, and I think it would have maybe given a little better sky effect. I'm not sure. But I went in and I inked. This was kind of what I'm talking about when I'm saying I feel like the ink blending foams might have done more what I wanted here. As it is, I feel like I could have blended them better, to the blue to the white. It felt almost a little stark to me, the dark blue edges into the white. And it could also have just been because I'm using a very dark color of ink. It could also have been how tiny, some of the tags are, that kind of thing. So who knows? Something to try next time. So I added some black and white twine, just kept it very basic. And now I'm going in with some Nuvo Sparkle stuff. It's basically like a giant jar of stickles. That's really what this is. And I'm using a snowfall or a confetti type stencil that I already had, and I'm applying the iridescent glitter glue. I kind of wish that I would have went through with gesso or white acrylic paint first, but I didn't on the first one, so I just didn't on the rest of them. I just stuck with the iridescent sparkly glitter, and it still was beautiful. Then I just used my fingers, wiped some off the stencil or the palette knife, or if it had fell somewhere, or the edge of the container, and then just kind of swiped it around the edge I don't know, I felt like it tied it, that glittery feeling, it just made it feel more complete. So there are those completed tags. They are so sparkly up close and in real life after they dried. I love how sparkly they are. All right, guys, so there's all of the gift tags. I hope you found these quick and easy and doable. And if you need a last minute gift tag, I hope these can help you out. All right, have a great week, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.